watch TV.
Please, Mikey, Mama's fixing
No,
you a
I
nice
want to see TV.
after lunch.
Why don't you give him his lunch in here?
Because Dr. Greenspun says that's a bad habit.
Well, why don't you get Dr. Greenspun to come over here and feed him?
If you love listening to this show, please consider giving a rating and a review on Amazon Alexa or wherever you listen. We want to continue bringing you this amazing content, and part of our ability to do that means that we need a big audience. Now, it may not seem like much, but rating and reviewing the show will help more people find us, just like how you found this show. Simply on any podcast platform, search for a show, scroll down to the bottom, and push 5 stars. It's that easy. Thanks for supporting the show. Joined by Alex Schulze, who is the CEO and co-founder of 4ocean, an organization that is addressing the ocean plastic crisis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Scott. I appreciate it.
So I guess you're a surfer. I'm curious as to how long you've been surfing for.
So I started surfing as soon as I came to college, but I grew up on the west coast of Florida on a small island. So I've been a fisherman my entire life. I've been a boater my entire life. I'm a licensed captain. And then when I came over to the east coast of Florida, that's when I started surfing.
That's terrific. So I got to believe that whether it's the boating, fishing, or surfing, you must have some kind of memorable event or experience. Is there something that comes to the top of your mind that you can share?
I mean, I really just try to spend most of my free time on or in the water. Diving and fishing and just boating has really been a passion of mine. I think just, any time that I'm on the water is a great time for me.
Yeah, sounds good. Now, one of the things that you, I think, share out in media is this story about how you've traveled to Bali to surf. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you observed, aside from personally seeing the plastic in the oceans and the shores, is this kind of, depiction of fishermen that are casting their nets, and instead of, bringing back a net full of fish, what they bring back are just plastic garbage or waste. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of elaborate on that story?
Sure. So in Bali, Indonesia, during the rainy season, there's a significant amount of plastic that is taken from the local areas through the rivers and streams, and it's taken offshore. And, we've seen Bali fishermen fishing, all day and really putting a ton of effort and energy into it, and having a lot of this plastic interfere with, how they catch fish. And it was something that my business partner and I looked at, and we realized that if we could, switch the model and be able to pay fishermen to collect plastic instead of catching fish, then, we could create a sustainable business model. And that's where we kind of came up with the idea for 4ocean. And it took off.
It's, I don't know, to me, that's just like a perfect setup, right? So, it's instead of catching people, in the case of Christianity, you're catching plastic.
Catching plastic, yeah, just trying to clean up fish.
Beautiful illustration.
Yes.
So let's first define what is 4ocean and what are you looking to achieve specifically?
So 4ocean is a private company that its mission is to help end the ocean plastic crisis. And we want to do that by any means necessary, which is actively cleaning the plastic that does exist in the ocean, as well as trying to educate and influence consumers to live more sustainable lifestyles and cut down on their single-use plastic consumption overall.
So let's get into that a little bit more specifically, starting with why bracelets?
When we first started, we knew that we wanted to sell a product. We really like the idea of, what Blake Mycoskie and has been able to do with Tom's and Yvonne Char with Patagonia, and just basically the business models that they've been able to create with these different brands and the movements that they've been able to create all around the world. So we knew that we wanted to sell a product to help fund the ocean cleanup. And, we decided with a bracelet because a bracelet is something that can be gender neutral. It's something that somebody can wear. It goes with a lot of different outfits, but more importantly, it's always visual. It's always, at the forefront of somebody's outfit, and it's a conversation starter. So I think that was really something that we liked about the opportunity of a bracelet is, people can talk about it and talk about what it means and say, this pulled a pound of trash from the ocean, and this is this group 4ocean, this is what they do, and just get the conversation around ocean plastic started. And that was really something that we looked at with the bracelet. It was a conversation starter, and that was something we really liked.
Now, I feel like we need to kind of redefine what a product means. Now, to be clear, this bracelet that we're talking about, can you talk about kind of the material, where you're sourcing it from, and also the form factor that it comes in?
Sure. So the bracelet is made with post-consumer recycled glass, as well as post-consumer recycled bottles, including a small portion of the ocean plastic that we've collected. It is manufactured. Some components are manufactured in China, and it is assembled in Bali, Indonesia. The bracelet, for every single bracelet sold, we remove 1 pound of trash from the ocean.
Mm-hmm. And I think when people purchase things that are related to sustainability, they usually have certainly a brand prestige and a mission behind it, but generally it has to also meet a utility. So whether it's a water bottle, a beach towel, a sandal. In this case, for the bracelet, what utility is it providing?
Aside from just a piece of jewelry, the bracelet does not provide, a utilitarian function like a water bottle would, where you would, drink water out of it. But I think that the more along the lines of it's a message and a symbol. It's somebody's commitment to really the clean ocean movement and just being a part of a community that's larger than themselves. And I think that for us, that's really where we see the value in the initial 4ocean product. And now we've been able to expand our business model into the different areas of the lifestyle brand, and offering items such as water bottles and apparel and t-shirts and things like that. And we continue to expand our product lines of sustainability-based items, as well as items made from the ocean plastic that we're collecting.
All right. So when we think about bracelets, of course, it can be gender neutral, but is there a kind of a breakdown in terms of the kind of segmentation that you have in terms of who actually purchases your products?
We do. The one thing with 4ocean is, we're actually very proud of this, is our customer base is very large. We don't have a specific and very niche demographic when it comes to customers that are interested in 4ocean products. We're very proud of the fact that the clean ocean movement and that we're trying to create has brought people together of all ages and all interests. And that's something that we really strive to continue promoting, is that, everybody loves clean oceans, right? And everybody can get on board with the fact of we should conserve the oceans for the future as well.
Interesting. I don't think you've actually answered my question in terms of the actual composition of your segmentation or targets.
It's everybody. We don't target anyone specifically. It's from young, 10 to 12-year-olds all the way up to 50, 60, 70-year-olds. Mm-hmm. Male and female, it's skewed, pretty evenly. And we don't target a specific audience.
And do you find that many of your customers tend to purchase one product, or do they tend to purchase several products, and why?
I think that when we first started and we only had bracelets, they would only purchase, one product. But now that we're starting to offer new products and new opportunities to engage with our business and our company, people are starting to purchase additional products as well.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the impact portion. So you guys I'm going to come back to the fact that, again, you mentioned you guys are a private company, not a nonprofit. But in terms of the impact of what you claim and the mission of the organization, mm-hmm. Can you talk about how the proceeds have gone to specific cleanups, and what are the kind of measurements that you can share with us?
Sure. So the cleanup, for every single product sold, we remove 1 pound of trash from the ocean. So we started locally here in Florida. We've expanded into Bali, Indonesia, cleanup headquarters, as well as Haiti, and then most recently into Guatemala. And this is where we have full-time crew members that are cleaning 7 days a week, cleaning plastic from the ocean. So our business model is to sell products online, and then we're taking a portion of proceeds and investing into our cleanup operations all around the world.
Can you talk a little bit about the rationale of Guatemala? I mean, Florida to some extent, but mm-hmm. How did you go about deciding where to actually place these labor force?
It all comes down to a formula that we've really kind of looked into and done research in. And it turns out where there's an area where there's a lack of waste management infrastructure, there's these different remote villages or cities and communities, and most of the times there's some elevation. And that almost always, if you find these scenarios, there will be a large amount of ocean plastic, because what's happening is, with the lack of waste management infrastructure, individuals are taking all this plastic that they're consuming, they're tossing it into these rivers, into these streams, or in these different areas. And during heavy rainfall, it's actually bringing all that plastic down the rivers and out into the ocean. And plastic has just been increasing. The plastic production has been increasing at an exponential rate. And, a lot of the conversations that we've had in these different areas, we asked the locals and say, has this been a problem always? And, everyone said all the items that we would consume were biodegradable. And now we have nowhere to put this plastic. So unfortunately, most of it's being either burnt and incinerated on an open fire pit, or it's being tossed into these rivers and streams. So looking for areas with that formula really has driven our decision for where we open up our new cleanup headquarters. We're trying to find areas that we can have the most impact in.
Well, I think certainly that makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, plastic is pervasive throughout the planet. Why not recruit the workforce or the human force of the world rather than certain localized regions? And is that decision based on low wages in those regions?
No, it's not based on low wages. It is, if you go, for example, Haiti. So when we looked at Haiti, we were looking at some of the most heavily polluted areas. And when we wanted to look at a new location, we said, we found plastic that was showing up on Florida's coastlines and tracked it back down. It was coming from, Dominican Republic as well as Haiti. And if you go on Google Maps and you zoom in to just outside Port-au-Prince on the coastline there, it looks like rocks, but that's actually football fields full of plastic. So there's just mountains of plastic that's entering into the ocean. And for us, that is literally the plastic that's leaving these areas, traveling across these oceans and ending up on our coastline. So I think the primary decision is where can we as a business have the most impact?
Now, one of the issues with sustainability projects is the actual auditability. So, for every purchase, there's a pound of plastic that's removed. How do you actually, from a process, actually measure that and ensure that that's actually being done? So, are these employees? Are these contractors? Is it being outsourced? How does it work, and how do you actually measure that and verify that?
So a couple questions there. So these are full-time cleanup crew members. Every location is different. Some are contractors, some are employees, depending on the location. But these are full-time 4ocean members that are solely devoted to cleaning the ocean. In regards to tracking the plastic, we have a very detailed tracking process. We want to have full transparency with our customers to show them where the pounds were removed, who cleaned them, and all the information that goes with that. So we have our trash tracker program that we're building out right now, as far as trying to make that public facing. But this is something we've been doing since the start of the business. And what we do is there's a photo taken in the beginning of the day of the cleanup crew that will go out, the lead captain as well as the crew members. They document where they're going to clean. We take photos before, during, and after the cleanups, and then the material is brought back to our headquarters in our facility, where it is then weighed, documented, photographed, then sorted by type, color, and condition for future recycling. All of this information is uploaded into our database for the trash tracker, and that's audited by the Better Business Bureau quarterly to ensure that we are living up to our promise. For every single product sold, we remove 1 pound of trash from the ocean.
Sounds great. Now, if you're familiar with the concept of carbon tax credit, the issue is really a bit of a transference to liability. In some cases, even a NIMBY issue in terms of not in my backyard. In other words, those that are actually purchasing your bracelets may feel good having some sort of affiliation with the brand and what it stands for. Mm-hmm. But really the ones that's actually removing the trash are the ones that are being paid to do so. What's being done to actually activate the community of consumers?
So I think that really comes from, the different areas of mainstream social media. By leveraging our different social media accounts and the different touch points that we have with our consumers, we have the ability to help educate on the effects of single-use plastic, as well as trying to encourage and influence anyone that we can to live a more sustainable lifestyle. So with all of our social media outlets, we really are trying to utilize those platforms to teach consumers tangible and easy to understand items on how they can have an impact on the ocean plastic crisis. Because unfortunately, it's kind of like that drop in the ocean type approach, where people think there's so much plastic being produced. How is my, getting that shopping bag or not, denying that straw? how is that really having an impact on it? But it actually comes down to just the global movement that it's able to create. And it goes way above and beyond just simply, turning down the shopping bags and bringing your own. And the same thing with turning down the straw and just, trying to avoid single-use plastics. It's not only having an impact on the amount of plastic that's being produced, but it's also creating a movement internationally on a switch to a more sustainable future.
I think one of the things that consumers struggle with is this confusion of, what's real and what's a beautiful story. There are many kind of sustainability-based companies that's coming up, and I guess they've kind of fallen under lifestyle again, bottles, beach towels, sandals, and so forth, recycled from tires in Indonesia. So there's a lot of these kinds of companies coming up, and some, I think the perspective kind of skews from those that believe that, wow, they're really working to make a difference in terms of climate change and sustainability. Others feel as though they're exploiting the local people and the issues and the general kind of global trend around sustainability and trying to capitalize and monetize on that. How do you rectify that?
I think, this unfortunately it does exist in this space. And I think that one thing that's very important for us is to always try and have as much transparency as possible with the company. As you can see from third-party accreditations, that's something that we really lean into. We try and bring in other individuals to look at our business and audit it and really verify everything that we're doing. We're trying to do so in the most sustainable form as possible. So, we have the Better Business Bureau that audits all of our plastic collection. I'm very proud of it. We just became a certified B Corporation, which is an incredibly tough process to go through, where they audit literally every single thing about our business. And it actually took us about 1.5 years to go through that entire process. But it's really leaning on these third parties to come in, take a look at everything we're doing, and verify that we are doing everything that we're claiming, and we are leveraging business to have an impact.
Now, I think there's been something written up about the fact that sometimes people get confused thinking that you guys are a charity or a nonprofit when in fact you guys are for-profits. And wonder, one, in terms of, the decision to be a private-based entity. And then secondly, how do you clarify the perception that perhaps maybe people think that you guys are a charity?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's two things there. The reason why we chose to be a private company is because we've looked at some of the most influential brands and the movements that they've been able to create, and we knew that we wanted to do this differently. When you look at the movements that, large brands like Nike, Patagonia, Yeti, all these large brands that have created, worldwide communities that have essentially been able to change or alter some course. That's where we really looked at and said, we aspire to become a brand like that and leverage mainstream social media to be able to make, something we always say is we're trying to make cleaning the ocean and sustainability cool. We want to make it to the point where people aren't, turned off by, trying to say like, hey, using all those plastic bottles and using all those straws and using all these different items is really having an impact on the environment. Whereas now you can be almost like the role model in the sense and leverage the brand to be the role model to hope to influence customers, utilizing the brand overall. And that's something that we've always tried to do. We've tried to really separate ourselves, not so much from like the garbage men of the ocean, just cleaning, that's just a service and it's purely transactional, but really build a community and make this something that people aspire and want to be involved with. So that's where we chose, we wanted to create a brand and a business that could pull plastic from the ocean, make products out of that, sell those products online to help fund our cleanup operations, as well as advocacy, education, and upstream initiatives. So, the bracelet was just purely the first step. That was kind of what we call the stepping stone into the bigger picture of what we want to accomplish with 4ocean. But, that really is why we chose to be a private company. And I think that, unfortunately, with our business, if you just told someone that there's a business cleaning the ocean and there's a product, initially, most people think that it's a nonprofit. You think of other comparable businesses that are doing very similar things to us, like look at Bombas socks. For every pair of socks purchased, they donate a pair of socks to those in need. Look at Tom's shoes. For every single pair of shoes purchased, they donate a pair of shoes to someone in need. And I think that the monumental difference between our business and those businesses is that there's nobody volunteering on the Saturday morning to go and give out shoes to the homeless. I mean, there may be, but there's not a large group around the world. The same thing with donating socks. Not many people are donating or volunteering their Saturday morning to go and donate socks to individuals. And I think that for us, because it's beach cleanup and because for the past 30, 40, 50 years, everyone has just associated beach cleanups and cleaning the ocean as a nonprofit activity. That's something that has pushed us into that space. And I think that we're doing everything we can to be as transparent with our customers and let them know our business model, and really leaning into the fact that we are a private company. We do not accept donations, and that we encourage customers to also get out and volunteer their time. But just understanding that we are really leaning into the fact that how we are cleaning the ocean and every pound removed is through paid cleanup crew members that are full-time out there cleaning the ocean, and not through volunteer cleanups on Saturday mornings.
So again, I referenced the carbon credits model. Why not inverse the model in a different way, in the sense that instead of every bracelet purchased, it equates to 100? Was it 100 pounds?
No. One bracelet, 1 pound.
1 pound. 1 pound.
Hopefully, one day we can get to 100 pounds. Yes, sir.
so if a consumer cleaned up 1 pound of plastic, shouldn't that equal to one bracelet that they can just receive as a result?
I would love if that could be the case, but unfortunately, I don't think the economics work where you can cover shipping costs, manufacturing costs, and all of the cost of goods sold that go into that. When we do have these volunteer events, just for example, just to interact with the community and have people come out and be able to clean up, we do give out bracelets for everybody that does clean up. So while we're there and people come out and clean up plastic, we do give out bracelets for anybody that does remove a pound.
So the issue that I see is that, from a behavioral science, we're teaching people to do the wrong thing. In other words, instead of actually owning it and taking responsibility for first either reducing their plastic consumption, disposing it properly, recycling it, and picking it up where they can, we're basically saying we can buy our way out of climate change and cleanup. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that's a incorrect way to phrase it?
I think it's definitely a sensitive subject, and something that we did not realize when we first started this business. And unfortunately, it has kind of created, in a sense, that idea of I can buy a bracelet, and then my conscience is clear. I can go use all the plastic I want, but don't worry, I pulled up a pound. And that's not something that we're wanting to create. And this is something that we transitioned our messaging very quickly to try and understand that it's not just about cleaning the ocean. This is about, like I said, a global movement that we're trying to create and trying to encourage people to live a more sustainable lifestyle. And it's our job as a business and as a brand to arm consumers with the tools and the knowledge necessary to live a more sustainable lifestyle. So I think that it definitely, it could create a problem with the business model if someone was solely reliant on, I'm just going to keep buying my way out of this. But I think you're absolutely right. And that's what we're actively doing, is leaning into the education side and trying to influence consumers with, different items that they can do personally to have an impact on the ocean plastic crisis.
Let's see. My question for you is, how are you collaborating with Piper Angels Foundation?
So Piper's Angels Foundation is a group based out of South Florida, and Travis Suit is a gentleman that approached me. And what they do is they have a stand-up paddleboard event where they're traveling from Bimini, Bahamas, over to Florida in order to raise funds as well as awareness for cystic fibrosis. And that is something that Travis is a great guy, and he reached out to me. I've always wanted to participate in that event, and I think it's so awesome what they do. We talk about the communities that trying to create these movements, and I mean it's unbelievable to see an incredibly large amount of boats travel over to the Bahamas, bringing people, and then seeing these people go from the Bahamas over to Florida and cross the Gulf Stream on a paddleboard. It's incredibly powerful, and I've always wanted to be a part of it. And Travis actually reached out to me to ask me to be on the advisory board to help them with scaling their operation, and I was incredibly honored and happy to do it.
All right, so I have two questions for you. One is, when are you going surfing next, and how can people learn more about your entity?
I plan to go surfing as soon as the travel restrictions ease up, because unfortunately, South Florida, it's kind of beggars can't be choosers, and we have different surf available here. So hopefully as soon as these travel restrictions lift up. And then if anyone would like to learn more information, they can go to 4ocean.com, and that's the number 4 and the word ocean.com.
All right, so with that, I've been joined by Alex Schulze, CEO of 4ocean. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you so much, Scott. Have a great
If you've enjoyed this episode, take a moment to rate our show on any podcast platform that you listen to. Scroll down to the bottom and push 5 stars. It's that easy. And as always, thanks for listening.